Hello everyone, this is Mr. DeBetz, and in today's Adobe After Effects tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make a candle melt. So first thing you're going to see is I already have all our layers set up here. We have some drip layers, different parts of the candle, like the wick, inner and outer parts of it. And the first thing I'm going to show you how to do with these layers is to parent them. Parenting is essentially grouping layers together, and it tells the program to animate them as one object instead of separate layers. First thing we're going to do is you're going to select the inner and outer parts of the candle. So click on layer 6, hold shift, click on layer 7. Then you're going to go over to the right here. You're going to see like this whirlpool looking icon. This is your parenting tool. You're going to click and hold and then drag this blue line to the wick and let go. Once you parent the wick, you're going to click on the wick again, go to the parenting tool, click and drag it to the melted candle layer. Once you do that, you're then going to go to the melted candle layer, click and drag it to layer number 9, the candle. All right, so now we have parented all these layers together to make it act as one. And now we're going to start adding some keyframes to add a melting effect to the candle. So first thing we're going to do is select the top layer of your candle here. Once you do that, you're going to hit P for position, and then you're going to drop a keyframe at the 0-second mark. Once you drop a keyframe at the 0-second mark, you're going to drag this over all the way to the end, to the 5-second mark. You're going to click and hold and then just bring the candle down to make it look like it's melting a little bit. So maybe about right there. So now when this plays, you're going to see that it's starting to droop the candle. All right. Now we're also going to mess with the position of some of the drip layers. So first thing we're going to do is select all 4 drip layers. So click on the first one, hold shift, and then click on the other 4. Click P for position. It'll open up the position menu for all 4 of these layers. And then we're going to add a keyframe here at the 0-second mark. Once you do that, take your timeline. You're going to move it all the way to the 5-second mark. Then you're going to individually click on these layers, on the drip layers, and then drag them downwards just to give it a different effect. So it's not all the same. So that's my first one. I have one on the side that's going to go a little lower. Got this other one on the side that I'm going to drag downwards here. Then I have my 4th one, which I will also click and drag. So as you see, it already dropped the keyframes. So now you should see all these layers starting to melt. All right, next we are going to play around with the path animation of the candle just to give it a more natural looking melting. First thing you're going to want to do now is you're going to select the top part of the candle. Once you select the top part of the candle, go to your timeline in the search menu and you're going to put path and then just put enter. Once you put path, you're going to see it opens up this menu. Once you do that, we're going to go to our path property. And then we are going to drop a keyframe at the 0-second mark here. Once you do that, drag your timeline all the way to the 5-second mark. And now we're actually going to manually cause some drip to the top part of the candle. So to do this, you might want to just zoom in a little bit. So I'm going to go to maybe about 200. Use my hand tool just to drag this up. All right, so now we can actually select these individual properties here on these little squared nodes. So I'm going to start with the left side of the candle. So I have one, I'm going to hold shift just to select multiple parts of it. Then you can drag this down to give it just more of a natural drip. Same thing, I'm going to go into these 2 nodes. I'm going to drag this down just to give it a little more naturalness. Same thing here, I'm going to go on the right side of the candle and start to just sort of have this melt. So again, it'll automatically drop the keyframes. So now when we go back at this, you'll see that we are actually animating a lot of different parts of this candle. Okay, our next step now is to add path animation to each of the drip layers. order to do this, make sure you have all the drip layers selected. So click, hold shift. Then I'm going to select all my layers. Then go back to the search menu, look for path, press enter, and then it's going to open up all the path layers within the drip here. All right, and then I'm going to drop a keyframe. This time you actually have to drop an individual keyframe for each different drip. So I'm going to drop 4 different keyframes. Then I'm going to drag my timeline all the way to the end. And now I'm going to start animating each layer individually. So I'm going to go to drip layer 1. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so I can see. And then I'm just going to sort of elongate each one. So I'm going to have this selected. I'm in my path. And then I'm going to just start selecting these and extending it a little bit. So that's for my first one. Make sure you have path selected each time. So again, now I'm here, got my path layer selected, and I'm going to elongate each individual drip. Again, this is subjective, so just do it to whatever seems natural to you. I'm going to go to number 3 and repeat this step until I'm done. All right, now for our next step, we are going to make the bottom of the candle melt to make it look like a puddle. In order to do this, you're going to select layer number 9, which is our candle. Then again, you're going to search for path, hit enter, and then it's going to open up our path menu here. And then you're going to drop a keyframe at the 0-second mark. Then you're going to drag the timeline all the way to the end to the 5-second mark. Now we're going to get in and start moving around parts of the candle. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit so I can see. I'm going to go here. Now I'm going to start adjusting these nodes to make the candle seem like it's melting. So in order to do that, I'm going to select my layer, my path layer, click on this, and then I'm going to drag it outwards. Same thing, I'll click here, drag this down, give it a little bit of a melting effect. And then on the last node here, I'm also going to sort of drag it downward, just to give it more of like an oozy feel. And again, you just want to mess around, play around with this until it looks a little natural. And then I'm just going to pull out here and see what it looks like. So again, go to the beginning of my timeline. So see, now you get that sort of oozy effect on the candle at the bottom. All right, next we are going to now adjust the flame to match the melting of the candle. First thing you're going to do is on the timeline, select layer number 6, flame inner. Once you select that, you're going to press S for scale. Once you press S for scale, we're going to put in a built-in animation called wiggle. In order to do this, you're going to hold the Option key on Mac. As you're holding Option, you're going to click on Scale, and then it's going to open up this little menu that says Transform period Scale. In this, you're going to write wiggle, W-I-G-G-L-E, parentheses, and then we're going to give it a value, 6,7, close parentheses, and then you're going to click out of it. So now when we play the flame, you're going to see that it has a bit of a wiggle effect to it. So it's like breathing, sort of. All right, so we added some wiggle to the scale of the flame. Now we're going to add some wiggle to the rotation of the flame as well. So again, make sure you have layer 6 selected. Once you have the layer selected, you're going to hit R for rotation. Once you hit R for rotation, you're going to hit Option. Click on the stopwatch again. For rotation, it's going to bring up this menu. And now you're going to write wiggle, parentheses, 0.5, comma 4, close parentheses, and then click out of it. So now you're going to see that the flame, along with the scale, has a little bit of wiggle in the rotation. Okay. So now that we animated the inner flame, we're going to do the same steps for the outer flame. So again, make sure you have your layer number 7 flame outer selected. To do that, you're going to hit S for scale. Once you hit S for scale, we're going to hold Option click on the stopwatch, and then you're gonna write the same thing. So you're gonna write wiggle, parentheses, 6,7, close parentheses, and then click out of it. And then go back to flame outer, click R for rotation, hold Option, click on the rotation stopwatch, and then you're gonna write wiggle, parentheses, 0.5, 4, close parentheses, and then click out of it. So now that the inner and outer flame sort of has the same scale and rotation as the candle is melting. Good, so you can see how the yellow is our inner and the orange is our outer layer. All right, the last thing we are going to do is add a smoke layer to the candle. So in order to do this, I'm going to zoom into the very top of the candle. Use my hand tool to go to the top. Once I see the top of the candle, I'm going to select my pen tool. And with my pen tool selected, I'm going to draw basically like an upside down triangle, starting from the wick and going to the top up here and then here at the bottom. So you're going to notice that it's yellow. In order to change the color, change fill to black. All right. Once I have my new shape layer, I'm going to right click, rename it smoke. I'm going to change this color to, I'll just put dark green. And then I'm going to drag my smoke layer underneath the candle layers. So click and drag this and put it underneath the melted candle. Excuse me, the flame, under the flame outer. So now it's behind our layer here. Once we do that, I'm also going to change the stroke so it matches the color. Your next step is we're going to go to our effects panel. In order to get to our effects panel, go to your window and look for effects and presets. And then you're going to search for something called wave warp. You're going to click and drag this into our smoke layer. And it's going to open up this menu. What we're going to do for this is direction should be set at 0, 0. The wave width should be at about 75. The wave speed should be at 0.35. So now we have a little bit of movement, but notice how dark this still is. We're going to make it seem a little more opaque. So do this, click on the smoke layer, hit T for opacity, and you're going to change the opacity to about 7%. So now we should have a melted candle along with a little bit of smoke. Let's take a look here. Cool. Very nice. Nice job.